high courts, when we feel the high courts are breaking the law, then we have to be on solid ground. And the only way to find out whether you're on solid ground is to challenge the High Court. Now, I was in court on Monday, last Monday, and we put in a 7-page document which informed the High Court that we were challenging the authority of the High Court and we were challenging the legitimacy of the judge. So we're not messing around, are we? So we're going for the jugular. As a direct consequence of that document, and we were in the court in the afternoon, the security was increased and the police were called. So lots of intimidation as we walked into that court. What transpired then was that the judge gave me an instruction in the High Court. I refused to comply because I was challenging his legitimacy. He would not answer my questions.
What questions were they?
Well, it was it was about the right of an individual to have a common law advocate in the court, and the right under our Constitution for an individual to have a jury trial before he's put in prison. This guy was the threat was he was going to be put in prison because of a contempt of court issue, which we obviously challenged. And what we're talking about here is corruption in the High Court, and we'd exposed it. We were challenging the judge, and we were saying we will not have a judge deal with this because we're dealing with judicial corruption. We want a jury trial.
Everyone has the right to a jury trial, don't they? I mean, I believe that if someone's
being denied, this is the whole point. And this is being denied because of the consent thing, and I hate to mention it, but also because of the legal fiction thing. So we put the argument in front of the court, but what we also did, when the police arrived, I got a hold of the chief constable there and said, what you need to know, it is my democratic right to challenge the authority of the High Court and for them to uphold their authority, and two, to challenge the legitimacy of the judge. That is my democratic right, and I will be doing that here today. It's going to be very robust, but I'm not going to be unlawful, and I'm not going to be unpeaceful. And this is what happened, right? The judge ran out of the court. He sent a message for the security to remove me. I told the security if they laid a finger on me, I'd sue them. And then the judge asked the police to move in. The police came in, and I said to the police, I'm not moving from this position because I have a right to be here. And the police wouldn't arrest me.
Good for the police.
In the High Court, the judge wouldn't come back in, the security wouldn't move me, and the police wouldn't arrest me.
Marvellous, Roger.
And the point I'm making is, who does that tell you who was right and who was wrong?
Absolutely.
It tells you everything. So this is what's going on. We have corrupt judges in the High Court. We have corrupt judges who, when they're being challenged, are refusing to have juries because they know what the juries will find. And that's the corruption that's going on in our High Courts at the moment. It's happening in all the courts.
Did he send a letter back after he'd done a runner into the courtroom saying, I'm not going home now, I'm not going to play with Roger because I find him vexatious, just like my colleague found him vexatious. Roger is a very vexatious human being.
Well, what they do, of course, and this is where they still have the upper hand, which we've got to challenge them on. I had no choice, but we couldn't just have a standoff all day. So I declared that the court had been abandoned, that the hearing was over. I left. The police were polite. The police were doing. Once again, the police were doing their jobs. So we've got to take our hats off to the good guys here.
Yeah.
As soon as we had gone, the judge came out and made a ruling and declared that this gentleman should go to prison for 3 months. Because we realised that was exactly how it was going to go, he was on a plane to Spain. So we now have to take out a criminal prosecution against. Now, when that guy came in that courtroom, and there was no jury, he wasn't a judge, he was an administrator. Yeah, as an administrator, he's not protected by the law if he breaks the law. So we're going to take out a criminal prosecution against that administrator because he's breaking the law.
Brilliant.
He's in defiance of Magna Carta, in defiance of our Constitution, he's in defiance of our rights, and that's the guy that should be in prison.
What's this guy's name? Are you allowed to name him on air?
Judge Pelling.
Judge Pelling?
Or in that particular case,
non-Judge Pelling. Yeah, non-Judge Pelling. Yeah, Administrator Pelling. Lackey Pelling. Yeah. So that's what's happening. That's the latest on this. So it all ended with the defendant on a plane to Spain. It ended with the police not arresting you. Good hats off to the police officers. And it's ending with this judge acting like a judge, but he wasn't, and you're going to call him up for it and bring criminal charges against him. That's how that story wraps up so far, is it? That's
right. And one of the tactics that we're learning is that when we have a claim against one of the judiciary, we should do it through a third party, because that actually sidesteps the vexatious litigant argument, because you're doing it on behalf. Now, the other key and important thing is that we do have a right as representatives in the courts, but the lawyers have come up with this rule that says that you have no right of audience in the court. Well, that's unlawful, and I'll tell you why it's unlawful, because we're all equal in the eyes of the law, and if a barrister can represent somebody in court, so can I. Because it's just a protection racket, isn't it?
Yes.
And that was one of the issues that the judge said ran out of the court. He said that you have no right of audience, and said, yes, I do. I'm claiming common law jurisdiction, and I'm a common law advocate. And he said, sit down. I said, is that an order or is that a request?
And he replied,
the question, because he can't order me. He can only request me. And if he'd requested me, I'd have said, no, I'm not sitting down until he answers the question.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you obviously bug them because you play the game that they're playing, but you play it better simply because the law really is on your side.
Well,
you're the one in the right.
Had the authority been with the High Court, I'd have been in jail.
Absolutely. So to bring back the first one of the criminal prosecution against it, and they said you were vexatious, is that where it ends?